What's up guys? Welcome back to the third part of my Gunfight tips and tricks series. So in the last video we covered Alley, and today we're covering the next map, which is Blacksite. Blacksite was also one of the maps introduced back in MW2. I think I got a couple cool things to show you guys, so let's jump in. Alright, so we're on Blacksite. As you can see on the attack map, one really distinctive factor for Blacksite that's really important is actually the fact that it's not symmetrical. As you can see, the map is basically divided into two main parts. You have the garage blue crate area and you have the gray cinder block area. The fact that Blacksite is asymmetrical actually has a lot of influence on how the map plays and how it should be played depending on where you spawn on the map. So that's why in this video I'm gonna do things a little bit differently. I'm gonna talk about each spawn point separately and kind of discuss the do's and don'ts of each spawn point and what to expect when you spawn on that side. So there's basically four ways you can spawn on Blacksite. There's the two spawn points on the garage side, and then there's the two spawn points on the cinder block side. Let's talk about this spawn point first. So the cinder block side on the gray interior side, 99% of the people, including myself, usually just challenge this lane this way, just jump straight out. This is just a really typical way of doing things on Blacksite, and usually your enemy on the other side is going to do the same thing, so you can get a kill or a little bit of damage. This side right here actually already has one really important point, which has to do with the asymmetry we talked about on Blacksite, which is the fact that this side actually has one cover opportunity that the other side doesn't. And that's actually this barrel right here. If you stand behind this barrel, you have good cover, you have a good view of this lane right here, while on that side you actually have no opportunities to cover this lane without being completely exposed. So a little more on challenging this lane. As we talked about, usually people just jump right here, or they go on the inside and just heady the barrel off the rip. So peeking it like this or on the barrel are two kind of general ways to challenge it that most people do. Something else that I've actually been doing more recently is hopping up on top of these sandbags first and then hopping up onto the wall immediately. Obviously you're completely exposed, so it's not really a good idea if you're not that confident in hitting your shots, but it is a good way to get the drop on people that are already holding this angle right here, which most people usually do. So in that 1 or 2 seconds of confusion, you usually can get some damage or even a kill. Something else a lot of people tend to do is actually hop on top of these cinder block stacks right here. People tend to like lay down here and hold this lane, or even hold you if you're running through gray. It is usually good practice to kind of check it because it is kind of an oddball angle too. So a little bit more on this angle then. This angle also lets you do a little bit of what I call Blacksite triage basically. And that is getting some information on your enemy. As soon as you spawn and peek this angle right here, there's basically 3 options for your enemy, and you have to keep all 3 in mind to kind of gauge what they're gonna do. They can either peek you as well, and then you know, okay, they're holding this lane, they're challenging me, I'm getting some shots in or not. Or the 2 other possibilities, they might be crossing that way, garage side, or you might not see them at all. And that's kind of the 3 possibilities to keep in mind. If they cross garage side, you can also challenge that side and kind of pick them off while he peeks that side. Or you can tell your teammate about it, you know, give him some comms. If you don't see him and he doesn't peek you at all, that usually means that he's already making his way into gray. So that's really important to keep in mind. As soon as you peek this side, what happens a lot of times is people just laying in that doorway, just ready for you. And as soon as you peek here, you're dead. So always keep it in mind, if they didn't peek mid, chances are they're already hiding here somewhere, or they're even just sitting back spawn and still holding you. In that case, you're just in a rat lobby. But again, that's kind of what I would call Blacksite triage, is just peek this angle and kind of have an idea of if they did cross, if they didn't, and kind of gauge on where they're gonna be. For me personally, my flow on this side is usually just peek mid. If someone is peeking back at me, get some damage, maybe even a kill. And then usually I'll just rush through, up through gray, maybe check mid as soon as I stop by here, and then get into their spawn, maybe finish off the kill. If I didn't, usually the second guy will be somewhere still here. If he's not, he's pushed up already, but then I can just pinch him from behind running through garage. And that's kind of how I do it on Blacksite. If we come to this spawn point then, so this is the exact same lane but on the other side. One of the big differences here again is that we don't have a good barrel right here to have cover but still hold the angle. So if you want to hold this angle right here, you're just completely exposed. What people usually try to do is like kind of angle this car, or maybe even lay on top of it like this and kind of hold the angle, but still it's not as good as the other side. But still, in general, for me, the flow is kind of the same. I will usually just check mid right here, maybe get some damage, maybe even a kill, and then I'll usually just run up through gray, and then obviously check this area first because someone might be holding this side, maybe check mid, and then just push up all the way into their spawn. Pushing up into this spawn then is always very risky, obviously, because this is a large area. They might be ratting behind this head glitch. They might be in this corner, which is, this is just Blacksite rat spot number 1. So if I'm pushing up, what I'll usually try to do is first get some utility, maybe a frag grenade, a semtex, whatever, down this side first, maybe get some damage, flush them out, and then I'll push up further. As mentioned then, you have some people holding down mid from these cinder blocks. You can kind of angle them in between these buildings, so if you know someone's on top of them, you can try to like angle it from this side instead of challenging it through gray, because usually they will still get a drop on you. Also beware of this wall right here. If you're playing a really ratty lobby, a lot of people tend to just like sit here and wait for you to cross in. This is one of those really unnecessary things on Blacksite in my opinion, but yeah, it's here, so keep this corner in mind. And then lastly, a little more on this building right here. This is just rat central, obviously. You have so many rat spots in this building, it's crazy. Like, sit on these barrels, you can get on top of these cabinets right here. You can just get on top of this barrel, you can get on top of this cabinet right here, you can get on top of those cabinets, you can get behind this chair. Like, people just find the rattiest spots in this building, so if you're running through it and you know you're playing a ratty lobby, just make sure to check every single angle, because you never know where they're gonna be hiding. A good thing to know against these rats is that with pretty much all loadouts, even the smaller caliber ones, you can actually wallbang these wooden parts of this building right here. So you can actually shoot through those and maybe even get some damage in there. So yeah, that's a good thing to know. If you're hesitant about pushing in, you can try to get some wallbangs in first. Alright, moving on to the other side of the map then, so the blue crate garage side of the map. This is actually where the asymmetry of Blacksite plays a really big role. If you spawn on this side, you basically have two options. You can either go into garage like this and challenge this side, or you can go up the stairs and kind of angle these metal sheets to challenge this side like this. The problem with both of those is that you're just completely exposed with no cover, and actually, something to note for you guys that didn't know, this light right here actually casts a shadow on this wall, and as you can see my shadow, if you notice, right here on these lockers as well, but also on this wall. What I've actually had happen to me is if you're trying to slow peek this angle right here, the enemy holding this, like especially with sniper rifles with scopes, will see your shadow first, and they just know you're slow peeking it. So as soon as you peek out and you immediately get clapped, that's how you know they saw your shadow. So keep this in mind. Slow peeking this side doesn't really have any advantages, so you're better off just fucking full sending it like I usually do. So in general, for this side then, spawning here and trying to challenge this side, if you're not very confident in hitting your shots, I don't really recommend pushing up this way. There is one possibility, maybe like rushing through and like getting behind these barrels right here, but again, like you have to cross this little distance, which can be enough to leave you exposed and just immediately killed. It is worth a shot if you perform better behind cover. You know, you can kind of like angle this, you have a good view right here, and as soon as you get some damage or even a kill, you can push up mid really quickly on this side then. So it is a valid strat, but again, in my experience, if I try to push out this way, I just get immediately blasted as soon as I run out. So yeah, it's worth the shot, but don't get your hopes up. A couple good things to know about this side though. I already talked about the lamp spot right here. Obviously this corner right here, this is also one of those spots that if you're playing an absolute rat lobby, just make sure to check this corner. It's another one of those unnecessary corners that they added. Another cool thing inside this garage is actually if you have a really light loadout, like a pistol loadout or something, you can hop on top of this cabinet right here, and if you jump towards that corner, you can actually hang on top of this. And for some reason this is an invisible wall, so you can't really shoot through it, but it is like a cool way to check if someone's crossing or not, or you know, if someone's there. Do know, however, that if you ADS, they can't see you, but if you don't ADS, trust me, they can see your ass hanging out of this garage door. So don't hang here for too long, but just know that you can actually get on top of this, and you can also mantle up. So it's a cool, like kind of accessory movement opportunity, let's say. It's cool to know. It has some uses sometimes, but yeah, usually you're just better off running up the stairs. One last cool thing on this side I want to show you guys is a nade spot. So let's say you go on top of these stairs and you want to challenge this angle, but you know these guys are holding you, they have cover, you're not really confident. What you can do instead is actually throw a nade. If you back up on this wall, you have this little metal sheet and tank. If you just walk up to it and you throw your nade fully vertically through this little window right here, you'll notice it blows up perfectly into their spawn. So that was a little bit far, but it actually can get you some damage or even a kill if they're sitting on that Heglish right there. Onto the last spawn point then, and I saved the best for last because this is probably the most OP spawn point on Blacksite. You can just get on top of these sandbags and angle it like this. You can angle the crate like this, laying down. You can get behind this sandbag right here as cover. There's so many more opportunities for cover on this side, and it's kind of unfair, honestly. Another cool angle to hold some people might not know about is actually on top of this door right here. If you see this little crate handle, you can actually jump on top of this. If you stand on top of that, you have this whole crate as cover, but you can still see if they peek on top like this. So this is a really good oddball peek. You have good concealment and people don't really expect this. So if you're holding this side, if no one's peeking right there, you can just jump up the crate as well and check if someone's in the garage. So this is a really good spot to hold, and you can actually see all the way into their spawn. And yeah, this is a good one to know about. Lastly then, the flag spawns right here in between these two buildings, and on Blacksite it basically depends on which side you are on and which side the enemy is on. Let's say you are weak and you have to capture. If you're on blue crate side, 99% of the time they're gonna be holding flag right here already, or even worse obviously, they're gonna be ratting somewhere close, and as soon as you start capping they're gonna jump out and try to challenge you. And then vice versa, let's say you are weak and you're on this side, 99% of the time they're gonna be inside blue crate right there, just ratting in this little corner right here. Usually people just tend to sit here and wait for you to cap, and as soon as you cap they peek out like this. If you're weak and you have to cap, always check blue crate. Another spot to check is the little shit shack, I like to call it, or like the toilet. This corner right here is also one of those flag camp corners. If you're weak and you have to cap, a lot of people tend to sit in this corner and wait for you to cap to jump out then. So these are all those types of corners that you really need to check if you have to cap. Flag baiting can work on Blacksite, although it's a little bit harder than, say, on Alley, for example. One last cool thing on Blacksite then are these windows right here. As you can see, they're open on the other side. Let's say you know the enemy's on the other side at those cinder blocks, for example. If you have a C4, you can like throw it over. As you can see, it ends up perfectly on the other side right here, and that actually is a pretty good strat to, yeah, maybe get a kill. Alright, so that's gonna do it for Blacksite. I hope you guys enjoyed, and hopefully you learned something new. Again, it just takes some experience getting used to these maps. The more you play them, the more you'll kind of notice where people tend to be, where people tend to hold some angles and stuff. So next up is gonna be DOS House. I got some cool stuff to show you guys on there, so I hope you guys stay tuned, and I'll see you in the next one.